Those Who Know by Alice Hawkins, Tavy Valley Coroner Series, Book 3. Read by Iestyn Arwel. For Rob and Flo, wishing you both all the happiness in the world. Those who know do not speak. Those who speak do not know. Lao Tzu, Dao De Ching. Glossary of Welsh terms. Bara brith, speckled bread, a fruitcake. Betgun, the outer garment of most Cardiganshire working women in the 19th century. It featured a tight, low-cut bodice worn over a blouse, with a long back, sometimes gathered up into a tail, and was worn over petticoats and an apron. Ceffyl Pren, wooden horse, a traditional form of folk justice in the area. Cymanfagani, a singing meeting, usually to sing hymns at chapel. Gwyl nos, watch night, a night sitting in vigil with the dead. Plwyfwas, parish servant, a parish constable. Sioni Goch, Red John. Suki lamb, a lamb whose mother has died and which has been hand-reared. Part 1. John. Tregaron, 28th of April, 1851. If Llandewi Brevi's parish constable hadn't been so keen to keep his job, we'd never have got involved in Nicholas Rowland's death. It just would have gone down as a tragic accident, and we'd have been spared a lot of trouble. My boss, Harry Probert-Lloyd, didn't have time to be looking at bodies just then. He'd been acting coroner for 3 months, and he'd just got started on his campaign to be elected coroner for the Tavy Valley in his own right. An inquest was the last thing he needed. When news of the death came, we were standing in Tregaron's town square where carpenters were putting up a stage for the election meeting at the end of the week. Harry's election agent, Jonas Miniver, had dragged us up there to do some canvassing. Miniver. Even after knowing him for a month and more, I still didn't know what to make of him. He just turned up at Glanteifi one day, and before we knew where we were, he was a fixture, forever asking questions, making arrangements, insisting on things. I know you're not supposed to look a gift horse in the mouth, but there is such a thing as buying a pig in a poke, isn't there? Fair enough. Miniver might be more horse than pig, but in my experience, if a man you don't know offers you something you haven't asked for, he's probably got a plan for you that you're not going to like. Mind, he was good company as far as that went. Cheerful, witty, always asking your opinion and making you feel clever. But that was suspicious in itself, wasn't it? Why would a man like him, somebody who knew everybody who was anybody in the county, go out of his way to make me feel important? I never put the question to Harry because I knew what he'd say. That I'd come up in the world. That I wasn't just the temporary coroner's borrowed assistant anymore. Nor Mr. Solicitor Schofield's clerk either. That I might only be 20 years old, but I was under-steward to the Glanteifi estate and about to be qualified solicitor. Which was all true. But Miniver's backslapping still put me on edge. And whatever he said, Harry wasn't really any happier to have him about the place than I was. Called him a necessary evil. Still, like him or not, Jonas Miniver had long pockets filled by powerful men. So, there we were, standing about watching men work and listening to Miniver wanting to know when the stage would be finished. Could we put up an awning in case it rained? Where were the chairs and lectern coming from? When one of the nameless Liberal Party hangers-on piped up. Done much public speaking before, Mr. Probert-Lloyd? Harry turned to him. Before I went blind, I was a barrister, so my job consisted of very little but public speaking. But Mr. Ears on a Stalk Miniver wasn't having that. Left off what he was saying to put Harry right. Speaking in public isn't the same as public speaking, Harry. Electioneering is all about carrying a crowd with you. More like rabble-rousing than reasoned argument. I turned away to watch a carpenter mitring the end of a plank. We'd been in Tregaron 2 days already, and I was sick of it all. Sick of the elections, sick of Miniver and the endless people who seemed to be working for him. Sick of being introduced to men who Miniver always called one of us. This is Mr. So-and-so, he's one of us. Liberal Party supporters, he meant. Was I one of us? I didn't know, to be honest. Most of all, I was sick of having nothing proper to do. For the last couple of months, I'd got used to working flat out, whether it was learning the stewarding trade or studying for my solicitor's exams or going all over the Tavy Valley with Harry as coroner's officer. But here, on what Miniver called the canvas, I was nothing more than a note-taker and noticer of things Harry couldn't see, and unwilling ally to Jonas Miniver. "What do you think, Mr. Davies?" he'd ask every time Harry looked unhappy about something he'd been asked to do. I knew he just wanted me to talk some sense, but every time he asked for my opinion, it felt as if he was trying to get me on his side against Harry. I watched the carpenter putting his 2 mitered planks together in a right angle and longed for some honest work that didn't involve telling people what they wanted to hear. I didn't know it, but I was about 10 seconds away from salvation, and the person who was going to save me was clumping across the square on heavy legs. "Excuse me." The boy might be panting like a sow in the sun, but somebody taught him his manners. "I'm looking for the coroner." I stepped forward. "This is Mr. Probert-Lloyd, the acting coroner," I said. The boy asked the question in Welsh, so he probably didn't speak English. "Who's died?" "Mr. Rowland, our teacher down in Glanteifi Brevi. Fell out of the loft, he did. Mr. Jones the Plwyfwas sent me." "The Plwyfwas has done the right thing," Harry told him. "Has the body been moved?" Glanteifi Brevi might be a bit out of the way, but I was pretty sure that the parish constable, this Mr. Jones, would have heard that the acting coroner was fussy about his corpses. There'd been a case a few weeks before where Harry hadn't been called in until the body had been taken home, washed and laid out. Nobody in the Tavy Valley would be making that mistake again. You could see that the boy was thrown by Harry speaking to him in Welsh. "No, sir," he stammered. "Mr. Jones said we should leave it for you to see." Harry turned to Miniver and the others. As usual, politeness put him at a disadvantage because the more directly he looked at them, the less he'd be able to see. "Gentlemen, I'm afraid there's been a death that requires my attention, so I shall have to take my leave. Will you excuse me?" Miniver wasn't having any of that. Rubbed his hands together as if he hadn't heard better news in a week. "Excellent," he said. "An in vivo demonstration of your methods. Who could have wished for better?" Harry. I would not have admitted it to anybody, even to John, but I welcomed Schoolmaster Rowland's death like a gift from the gods. For weeks now, Miniver had been taking me about, praising me to party supporters, discussing strategy and introducing me to the men who would organise public meetings in the fortnight running up to nomination and polling day. And though my determination to secure the coronership had not wavered, I found myself ill at ease with the election process. From the outset, I had had misgivings about becoming embroiled in politics, an attitude Miniver clearly found naive. "Despite a general sympathy for your recent bereavement," he'd said on his first unannounced visit to Glanteifi as he moved restlessly around the drawing room, "I fear you lack allies in Cardiganshire, Mr. Probert-Lloyd, and you're going to need support. Substantial support." I had not known how to respond to his oblique reference to my father's recent death, or how to ask what kind of support he had in mind. I feared sounding embarrassingly ignorant, but Miniver continued as if my very lack of response had been an answer. "If you're going to successfully oppose the Tories, you'll need—" "The Tories?" "Yes." Miniver's tone suggested that he was not sure what exactly my surprise signified. "Their candidate, Montague Caldecott, has moved down from London and is waiting in the wings." I had seen no public announcement from this Caldecott, and his existence as a rival candidate was an unpleasant surprise. "But why the party affiliation? This isn't a political election." Miniver sighed audibly and ran a hand over a pate that seemed, to my limited vision, to be completely bald. "Mr. Probert-Lloyd, believe me when I tell you that there is no such thing as a non-political election. The Tories will be out in force behind their man, and they're not accustomed to being beaten. Not here." I was finding it difficult to assimilate what Miniver was telling me. Having been asked by the county magistrates to act as coroner during the previous incumbent's final illness,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?